And we're live. It's another edition of Rotohackers, the Rotohackers podcast. We are your unofficial underground purveyors of fantasy football news, entertainment, and just general fantasy goodness. AJ Herschel does it way better. But AJ Herschel is not with us today. He's on assignment. But I'm here with the illustrious, the only, it's Jared. And he's the stud.
Hopefully, I'm the stud this week in my matchups, in my fantasy playoff matchups.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
I just saw your T-shirt.
Oh yes,
Nice.
got the T-shirt rushed in time for the Saturday edition. I also have the failed mission here. Whoop.
The failed.
Yeah, so this is the small I got.
Oh,
because I'm incompetent.
you got Why did you get a small? You just accidentally ordered it.
Well, I guess the default is small, and I just I want that, and I said click, and I said pay, and I never thought to change it
to get the size you need.
Yeah. I'm not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. I wouldn't say I'm dull, but I'm not even the type that you use for cutting.
You're more like that little claw thing on the back of a hammer as opposed to like a saw. You're not like the front of the hammer, but you're not a saw. You're
Yeah, it's like someone trying to saw something with the back of a hammer. I'm done. Okay. So to get into fantasy, obviously it's sort of weird. Does the 2019 fantasy season come down to did you have Lamar Jackson? I almost said Mahomes.
Yeah.
Not Mahomes. Mahomes actually lost people a lot of fantasy leagues this year.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, I don't know. It's funny because which you and I talked about it, but so far in my semis, out of my 13 teams in the semis, I have him in 2 leagues and I'm playing him in 2 leagues. And so that worked out okay for me.
Yeah, it's a good split.
He still scored more points than I wanted to. I would have been happiest probably in the 25 to 30 range. So that's a little more than I want to have to try to come back from in a couple of leagues. But again, it's only 2 for me and 2 against me, and that's how most of my matchups were from the Thursday night game, except I had Mark Andrews in a couple, and oddly nobody out of my 13 opponents was playing Mark Andrews. So
now did he end up having? So he had 1 touchdown or 2?
He had 1. He could have had a second one that was like a 50-yarder.
It's called back or something.
Lamar just overthrew him. Just overthrew him by a good bit.
Okay.
But he ended up with in half point PPR like 13 point something points. So I'll take that. That's pretty solid. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm against Lamar in 2 leagues as well. I've got him in 5 or 6. I think 5.
Yeah, that's a good ratio.
That's a good ratio. Pretty much every league that I had him, I went to the playoffs. It was like,
yeah. I mean, we've devalued quarterback over the years in fantasy football, and I mean rightly so in terms of draft position, in draft position especially, but also in terms, I guess, of output too. But in terms of draft position, we've just seen time after time, again, people were drafting Aaron Rodgers in 4th round, 5th round. I don't remember where he was going this year. I think he was still going somewhere around that range, and especially in years past. And that's just a waste. And even Mahomes this year, 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick.
A lot of first round for some leagues.
I only saw him first a couple, but yeah, especially 2nd round was in my drafts was where he was going a lot. And then Lamar, a guy that you could have either gotten in the last round or undrafted, ends up leading the league. So if you get the right quarterback, and Mahomes would have been that way the year before,
Yeah.
and so I think it's this kind of thing where you have to understand. We have to understand that quarterback's really important still. Like, you can have a huge difference maker at the position,
Yeah.
but you don't necessarily have to draft him, second or third round. You just have to hit on the right guy who may not be somebody that's on, other people's radars that high.
Right. Right. And I think somebody mentioned, and Alice mentioned that maybe a good strategy for next year is not going high with quarterback, but going with more than one.
Yeah.
Having you have a better chance of hitting if you have a couple of those late
Mhm.
rounders.
Right.
Because you could have really killed your draft this year if all you got was Mayfield, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I took Mayfield in I don't know how many leagues, but he was usually gone. I was taking him as, like, I wanted to get him as like an eighth round pick, and normally he was like gone in the seventh. So I got kind of fortunate that a lot of people got him before I could, and then in the leagues where I did draft him, I just moved. A lot of those places I moved on to Dak, like really really early, or I picked up Dak to play week one, because he was playing the Dolphins, and so I was kind of fortunate there. Now I'm actually coming back. Things are coming full circle, because I'm coming back to Baker Mayfield in a couple of leagues.
After dropping Dak, right?
And dropping Dak, yeah. Or at least benching him, because Baker's got the worst pass defense, basically. So it is funny that things are coming full circle. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing Lamar, if I'm kind of fortunate, because one of the two leagues that I'm playing against him in, the guy does not have a great team otherwise. So I may still be able, and I do have a really good team, so I may still be able to beat him otherwise. But if you're playing somebody with Lamar and with a stacked team, good luck with that.
So yeah, the team I'm playing against that I'm most worried about, or that I really want to win, I would say, the person has Lamar and had Hollywood. What's his name? Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
And Hollywood didn't do that great. It had like 8 points, and I don't think it was PPR at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say in half point he was at like 12 point something, but he just doesn't. They don't use those wide receivers enough. I mean, really, the only
it's spread out. It's very spread out.
It's very spread out. Boykin got a touchdown. One of their other receivers whose name I can't think of, got a touchdown. And then like Snead, Snead a lot of times will get one, well, not a lot of times, but when they do throw to the receivers, he'll be one of the one that gets one. He didn't. And so really, like, apart from Mark Ingram, the only other weapon of Lamar's that you can trust consistently is Mark Andrews. So I had one league where I needed just sort of a Hail Mary flex play. I debated putting Hollywood Brown in that spot, but I thought, like, his floor is just 0 points,
Yeah, I mean, it could have been the Snead. He could have been the Snead in that situation. Yeah.
Right. And so I didn't. And I thought, and really, he hadn't had like a blow up 25 point game or something since that Dolphins game. So I didn't play him. And I'm 12 points is not, going to break my heart. So
no. But I think in the start sit, when we talk about start sit today, I do think we should hit on, like, if you did play Mahomes or if you played Crowder. Crowder had a big game. What do you do? Like, who do you pick up? Should you make a move to compensate, in particular with Mahomes? Because Mahomes had in 6 points per touchdown, he had 45 points.
Jackson.
46. I'm sorry. Who did I say?
You kept saying Mahomes.
I keep doing that.
Dude, you were expecting Mahomes to have that kind of year, and
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like the way I think about Lamar now is how I've thought about Mahomes for a long time, which is, he's awesome. Um, okay, so going into the week, there's a lot of question marks. I think the first that we've been talking about is the news that we don't know is Josh Jacobs going to play? Is he going to sit? Is,
Is he going to
what?
play 3 snaps? Um,
Yeah. And the tough part is they're playing just such a matchup, like
mhm.
you just whoever it is, and it could be everybody. Everybody
Yeah.
gets, but it's hard to tell. It's
Yeah.
really, I'd rather play Josh Jacobs
Hmm.
if I have both, and I'm really afraid of playing Washington because I mean, if Josh Jacobs plays the whole game, uh, Washington's,
Has virtually no value. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it's worrisome. Yeah, for people who didn't see the comments, basically Gruden was like, "Yeah, it's looking pretty good, but I don't know 100% if he'll play. I don't know how much he'll play." Okay, well, that's just the worst possible answer to give. Like either play him or don't. And and if you are going to play him, have it to where he's going to be, getting at least the majority of the snaps and the majority of the carries and stuff. So that's just the worst possible outcome.
Right. Well, it may sort of hint like Gruden is such a BSer,
Hmm.
and coach speak, like it might just be a thinly veiled or maybe well veiled attempt to just throw his opponents off. Why would he let his opponents know what he's going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit before. I guess, I mean, like, to me, I don't know how much difference like running back makes in like really being secretive about, oh, is this guy going to play? Is this guy not? I mean, if I mean, I don't know. Maybe it does. I understand like if it's your quarterback and they have to scheme
Mm,
for two completely different guys, or if your
yeah.
star wide receiver wide receiver is going to be out and they don't have to, um, double team a guy or something like that. But I mean, with running back, I mean, generally a guy's going to be doing a similar sort of thing. So I I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. They even had Washington catching balls last year. Like he stayed in even when they got down. He was the third
More
down
so
guy.
than Jacobs, like more so than Josh Jacobs, even. Yeah.
Well, which kind of makes sense if he's had because he was catching balls a lot more before he got hurt. Suppose like whenever that I think that point was about 3 weeks ago.
Hmm.
Because if you're catching the ball is going to be a lot more difficult than just cradling the ball if you have like a crack on back here.
Yeah.
But from what I can tell, the injury is not like he can't or he can, but I'm sure you can aggravate more an injury, any injury more, but it's not one of those that they're worried about it getting worse from use. It's just like a pain tolerance type thing.
I guess so. Which seems weird to me, though. Like if you've got a crack in a bone,
Hmm.
like it seems like that could get worse, at least a little bit worse. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
maybe not with this one, but yeah, I sent you that other tweet yesterday too, where it was like he was having trouble getting his sweatshirt on. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, he's having trouble getting a sweatshirt on, and you're going to put him out there for an afternoon of having 275-pound men run full speed and slam into him and slam him into the ground. This just does not seem like a
Right, but he doesn't get like a shot of whatever Novocaine in his muscle to put his shirt on.
yeah.
What do they shoot him up with,
I don't know if they I don't know if I don't think it's Novocaine,
No,
but I
I
mean
just said that.
it could be.
I
But
doubt it's Novocaine.
yeah. But I don't even know it's something like that. Like if it's like more like a localized, like a joint, like a smaller joint, like an ankle or something like that. I think they'll give him shots and stuff like with
Oh,
that kind of with
he's
that
been
kind of
getting
thing.
shots though. Every they talked about it. He's been
Oh,
getting
okay.
shots every.
I just wonder how effective that is for like a larger area, or maybe it is really just like specifically in a spot there that they can identify. But
Sports medicine. Yeah,
yeah.
I need to look more into it. All right. So and then was there any other news for you that stood out from the week or going into the weekend?
Looks like Devontae Parker may play. I'm pretty happy
Oh
about
yeah,
that. If
you're
he does.
stoked about the Devontae.
I need him to play. It's my well, I've got him in two leagues, but one of them is my 250 league, and so yeah, I need him to play and play well. So yeah, so he shed his non-contact jersey Friday, got in a full practice Friday. I guess he's not officially out of the concussion protocol. We'll hear about that today. Or well, maybe today. Hopefully that goes well. And then he also got I think 4-year, $40 million extension. So he's turned this season,
He's made some
especially
money.
especially the last 10 or 12 games into some money for himself. So good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard time trusting him. Like
Yeah.
I've seen this story so many times. Like, and it's not skill. I mean, he's not. He to me, and this is a weakness of mine. You know, it's a blind spot of mine. I'll admit it. Like, it's the same with what's his name?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. It's these big lumbering guys who are not particularly now. Now, the more I watch Derrick Henry, the more I'm like, this man is a beast. Like,
Yeah.
he's a beast.
Yeah.
There's a certain skill that goes, and similar with Devontae, but there is. I don't know. It's like I don't like trusting these guys who just rely on physicality
Hmm.
because that can be stopped. Physicality can be stopped.
Well, but I don't know that Parker is just all about physicality. I don't remember what like his 40 time was, but I mean, he's been able to be more of he's been a, deep threat when he's been healthy, rare, those rare times in the past, but he may be, he may be more of like a DeAndre Hopkins sort of deep threat, or at least the highlights I've seen this year where, I don't know that he's like blowing past people. The ones I've seen, he's like winning jump balls and, having good footwork and stuff like that. So yeah, he's not, he's not like a Deshaun Jackson speedster type. So
What is he though? Like I don't see him as a good route runner. I don't see him as he is above average in his speed, above average. Like he's just physical. To me, it just seems like he is an athletic specimen. And he's
mhm.
and all where I see him getting the touchdowns, it's just basically he's up here and the
Mhm.
defender's down here. You know, he's just way
That's
taller than them.
yeah, but that's
That does help. I mean,
yeah.
in football, you want that.
Yeah. I mean, that's, in a lot of ways, again, like I mean, Hopkins can get open more. But I mean, he's got that body control, to just go up and get the ball. So and maybe Parker's a little bit similar to that. I really haven't watched him enough this year to really kind of break down his
Yeah.
skill set. But
And I do need to look at him more. It's just that over the years, I've always thought like this guy is going to be great, and he ends up getting hurt. Usually, he ends up getting hurt.
That's usually what it is.
That's
Yeah.
the thing, and maybe that's the thing with physical players is that it's hard to trust them to do it a lot.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'll admit I'm biased against those kind of players. So I am not going to play in Devontae, and maybe in some DFS.
DFS. Yeah.
Let's look at some more news here. Adams is not listed on the final injury report. Devontae Adams. So he is. Would you say that this is probably the most healthy he's been in a long time?
Yeah, because he had that toe. he had that turf toe,
Yeah.
and then since he's come back from that, he's been. I don't really know like what the progression of his health has been since then. I think part of it was that they were still playing some tough matchups, but he hadn't, he's had a very quiet year. So this week it'll be interesting because they're playing the Bears, and so the Bears have, a solid. Their pass defense is more solid than their run defense. So it'll be
Well,
interesting.
but they're getting Hicks back. I think that's going to be huge.
Mm.
This will be the first. He's coming off of IR, so I don't know how viable he is as I don't know what condition he's in or whatever.
Yeah.
But having Hicks on the line, the defensive line is. I mean, they were a good defense before Hicks went out, so I assume having him back is going to help.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm hoping because I'm playing Devontae Adams, not Devontae.
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
I have Aaron Jones, so I'm
so you're
hoping for one more week of suckery from the Bears run defense.
I also have a bet going. I don't know if you know this, but
A bet?
Yes, with you guys, Aaron Jones versus.
Oh
Mixon.
gosh, yeah. we've had umpteen bets going.
There's only two.
No, we had what was the other one? So we had Ridley Brown.
That's the other one.
And no, there was another one. Henry or wait, no, it was no, it wasn't Aaron Jones versus Mixon. It was Henry versus Mixon. And then you had talked about Aaron Jones versus Chubb, I think. And we were like,
took that.
Yeah, we were like, I don't know. I mean, I like him, but not. Yeah, I have to feel pretty confident to do a bet on it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's right. So I don't have a bet on him. All right, it frees me up to play a little more DFS with him. No. All right. Well, that sort of does it for the news. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we get to some start sit questions?
We can jump into them if there's anything that comes up. We can always come back.
Well, just a reminder for those of you who are in the are watching right now, we have merch, Rotohackers. Give us comment about them if you want, but more than that, comment in the comment section below. If you obviously you're watching on YouTube, give us a challenge. We've had a lot of good challenging questions, and we enjoy it. And we got Ryan, we got Thomas, we got some people in the chat. Ryan says, "Hey guys, what up, Ryan?
Hey Ryan,
good to have you back." And with my worst nightmare happening, with my strong RB depth and weak wide receiver depth, Evans got hurt. Now I have to find a weak replacement. Well, I guess this week's replacement. You don't want a weak replacement.
Well, maybe he means that there's just not much out there on the waiver wire to replace him with.
Right. Wide receiver 2. So we talked a little bit about some good replacements in last time's show on the waiver wire pickup. Who did you pick up on the waiver wire? Well, he's debating between Metcalf and Slayton, PPR. Any thoughts? I was going to bring up Metcalf. I'm glad you did, Ryan. What do you think?
I would have to go with. I know he's been a little quieter lately, and Slayton's just coming off of a monster performance. But I would probably have to go with Metcalf there because tied to a much better quarterback. He's at worst the number 2 option there in that passing offense. Lately, he's really been number 1 because I don't know what's happened to Tyler Lockett, if it's still been like lingering injury and illness or what, but Metcalf has really kind of taken over as the number 1 guy. The Panthers haven't been a great pass defense lately. They haven't been as bad as the Dolphins that Slayton's playing. But in that Giants offense, who's going to get, I know Eli targeted Slayton in that last game, but you've got Sterling Shepard, you've got Golden Tate. I imagine they're probably going to run the ball with Saquon a whole lot. It would be tough for me to play Slayton over Metcalf. I think I'd have to go with Metcalf.
Yeah, I would agree. Slayton's kind of a roll of the dice, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean he is. I mean he could have a blow up game. He could have another 25-point game or something.
He has a higher ceiling, I think, than
I
Metcalf.
think he does have a higher ceiling, yeah, because the Seahawks want to run the ball
Yeah.
first, and Carolina's the worst run defense. They're going to run Chris Carson as much as they can. If Penny was playing, I would probably not feel quite as good about Slayton because I'm not sure they would ever throw the ball. They might just rotate those two running backs.
Penny Slayton, what?
I'm sorry. If Penny was Slayton, if Penny was playing, I'm not sure I would play. I would feel as good about Metcalf.
Okay.
I might have said Slayton instead.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, if Penny was playing, because they just like to pound the ball as much as they can. So, but the fact that he's out, they're at least going to have to rest Chris Carson once in a while, and now their number 2 back is not going to be the caliber of Penny. So, I think they may still throw it a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
I do think that they're going to throw some. And this could be just a throwing game. It may be. There's a scenario in my head where I'm worried about it because I'm playing against Wilson, Russell Wilson, and there's something that I feel like this could just be. You know what made me think of it is Lamar. Now everybody's saying he's the MVP. Lamar Jackson. They've crowned him. It could be, there's a scenario where Wilson comes out and says, "Oh yeah, boop, 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 7 touchdowns, boom." Now it's
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's. I mean, Carolina's run defense is so bad. It's so bad. They've lost so many guys.
And Wilson isn't really that kind of guy.
Exactly. Yeah, and he's not. I think he cares about Super Bowls. So.
If it would, but it being PPR, does that sway you a little bit? Because Metcalf's going to get like 5 catches at most, but one of those might be for a long one.
I mean, Slayton's not going to heat up the volume either.
He could.
No, I mean between him, Tate, and Shepard, I mean he may get 8 targets. He could get 8 targets, and if he catches 5 or 6 of those. I mean, it's not going to be like he's going to get a dozen targets. I don't think.
Yeah. I feel like Metcalf is targeted more, not even more. Like there's just like a set amount, like of these 5 high probability targets, that so usually in the red zone, he's targeted, and, he might even carry it again. Like he carried it last week.
I mean, so the last 3 games he's had 6 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets. So like 6 targets is basically his floor. Yeah. Oddly enough, like he's caught in the last 2 games, he's had 13 targets and he's caught 12. He's caught 12 balls for 75 yards and 78 yards respectively. But then if you go back to like the Tampa game, which Tampa has a really good run defense, so Seattle had to throw more on them. And then San Francisco, he had 9 targets and 10 targets. So he is capable of getting up to, close to double-digit targets. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think you just, when I think talent-wise, they're probably pretty similar. Both big guys, both like big physical receivers. I think you just gotta look at like the volume they're getting and the quarterback that they've got throwing to them. I mean,
yeah, I think that's key right there. That's the key. I'd much rather have Wilson throwing to Metcalf. Like that's what swayed me. He said the concern is I've heard that Metcalf is Seattle isn't throwing the ball, and he might be matched up with Bradbury. Bradbury doesn't scare me too much. For Slayton though, there's so many mouths to feed in Eli.
Yeah. I mean
that's it right there.
That's the dilemma in a nutshell right there. I wouldn't worry that much. I think they're still going to throw it. They're still going to throw it some. So. I mean, I think he gets at least 6 targets. And again, yeah, with it's just so Eli is the main thing that scares me away on Slayton. I mean, at least, I'll have to play Slayton in probably a couple of leagues.
I think he has a high
But
upside. If you're playing Mahomes, play Slayton. You know, dang it, I did it again.
Lamar
if you're
Jackson.
playing against Lamar Jackson. If you're playing against Lamar Jackson, I would play Slayton.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of a different debate, or kind of its own separate question there. But I was thinking about that as we were talking about that earlier, and I've just had circumstances before where I've thought, oh, I'm going to play this guy because I think he's got the better upside over this other guy. And it seems like every time with me, it ends up like I should have just gone with the safer guy because the other guy doesn't end up with as many points as I thought he would. Like his other guys underperform or something like that. So
Yeah, I think in this situation though, in most cases now, it may not be, but if you're playing Lamar, like you're down 30 points.
Yeah.
It could be, you know. If that, in that situation, it's like you're going to lose anyways. Might as well try for upside, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You are right. Like tinkering it typically hurts more than it helps. Okay, so then Thomas H says, I need to stream a QB. Do you like Josh Allen, Goff, Fitz, or Minshew? Oof.
Fits for me if Devontae Parker plays. Josh Allen, we had talked about him a lot before. He's had a pretty safe floor. His floor had always been like 17 points, except for that Buffalo game, or except for that New England game, where he had a dozen or so, and then he had 10 against the Ravens last week. Well, now he's got to go into Pittsburgh this week.
Is Pittsburgh as good though as those two aforementioned teams?
I mean, it's hard to do
Compare apples.
yeah, an apple. Yeah, right. But they've been like they've been pretty good. They've and especially for them to be at home. And part of what, with them, it's a combination of, like blitzing, pass rush with Watt, and then having some guys back in the secondary like Minkah Fitzpatrick. So, Allen being a mobile quarterback, he's got some more ways to score against him, but I don't see it being a huge game for him. Minshew's pretty risky.
Yeah, you could have good upside, but his floor is 0.
Yeah, that's the thing. You do have good upside because he's playing Oakland, which is a terrible pass defense, but he's also the riskiest. Why can't I talk this morning? At Goff, Goff's had two better games, but they've been at Arizona and at home against Seattle. The Cowboys' pass defense tends to slow down quarterbacks a little bit more. I know we're just coming off of Mitch having a better game against them, but he was kind of moving around a little bit, and Dallas was on the road, so I don't particularly love Goff that much. Fitz is always risky. There's a lot of risk, I think, with all these guys, but if Parker plays, I'm playing Fitz in a league, and these would be basically my same options.
I mean, so his floor is like 17. His floor to me would be, well, I mean, okay, no, his floor is probably 0, but like,
yeah,
last week he did terrible. Well, he didn't do terrible. I don't think he threw any touchdowns. He might have run one in, and yet he had 17 points.
Right. And he was coming off of back-to-back games of 25 and 27. Yeah, I mean, I think his floor is probably like 13, 14.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is to a certain extent 0 if he does bad enough. I guess they could pull him for Rosen, but I think maybe that Rosen experiment is over by this point. The Giants are just such a bad pass defense. We saw Wentz last week get down on them. He had no weapons. Whatsoever, and then ended up throwing a couple of late touchdowns. Well, no wide receiver weapons, and he ended up throwing a couple of late touchdowns to Zach Ertz. The thing with Fitz last week was that he lost both of his top two receivers. He lost Albert Wilson and Devontae Parker. Mm-hmm. And he still, like you said, he still ended up with like 15 and half point PPR. So if Parker
PPR doesn't matter, but in 4 point per
in 4 point per touchdown. Mm-hmm. But if Parker plays, I'm tossing Fitz back out there. Mm-hmm. And like he really has to dump off, like even with they don't have much of a running game. They have almost no running game. And so what counts as their running game is kind of him like dumping the ball off to Laird now. So
the only thing I'd be worried, I would keep an eye on the
weather conditions.
The weather conditions. Looks like some wind, which wind is the thing that always worries me. I don't mind rain, it's a little slick or whatever, but wind can really blow this ball that you're throwing into the air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whoa. We got some more comments. Before we move on though, real quick, I forgot to give the AJ Herschel report.
Oh.
He is on assignment, may join us later, but in case he can't, he said, so a little on last week, on Thursday's game, he said the Ravens exploded on Thursday. Jamison Crowder came out of nowhere, though. For some reason, almost everyone I'm playing had Lamar Jackson.
Oh.
Good. Start Raheem Mostert and keep calm and Derrick Henry on. Mm-hmm. Winky face to not
to you.
Me. No. Oh, maybe. It's like in your face, Judah. Also, Evan Ingram is starting to become a real bane to my existence. That's what he's got. Yeah, Evan Ingram, like
I saw the Evan Ingram news, and I was thinking about.
I thought of AJ too.
I did, but at the same time, like you need to have moved on from Evan Ingram at this point. Like I dropped him a couple. Like I think I dropped him maybe going into week 14. I still had him on like one roster because I actually took him in several places at the beginning of the year. Yeah. But I still only had him on like one roster, and it's my 250 team. And I was just like, okay, because they said he's not playing, and basically they hinted that it was really questionable if he even played the rest of the way. And this Miami game was about all I was really hanging on to him for. And after we had gone to Eli, and after all the Giants' other weapons got healthy, like Evan Ingram's real value is when
he's alone.
When he's alone, yeah. And so I don't think I will ever. There's been a few guys that I've come out of this year going, I'm never drafting you again, and that's not like a half-hearted promise that I'll go back on. It's like I won't ever draft them again. And Evan Ingram is one of them because his value.
What happened to data? What happened to?
No, it is based on data. It's based on Evan Ingram is only really usable when all the other weapons are hurt. He's usually hurt himself too. And so that's the main thing is like, I won't draft guys who are injury prone. And so it's like Connor and Evan Ingram are on my never draft again list because they've just proven that they, can't stay healthy.
Okay. Well, we got a couple more comments. Was there any response other than that? Yeah, I did want to say, like, it was funny. As on the show last time, I was like, why haven't you dropped, or maybe it was the week before, why haven't you dropped Ingram? And then when I looked, and like or a lot of leagues, I still had him on my bench. I didn't even have him in the IR. I just like proceeded to like drop. Hope AJ didn't see him on my bench.
That's funny.
So Ryan says he has Lamar. He's projected to be 30 points ahead right now. Go, dude. Just don't even worry about flip a coin. But in this case, I would play Metcalf then because he's going to be targeted. He'll get, what a floor. What would you say his floor? Maybe 6 points floor, like 60 yards. If it's PPR, you get a couple catches in there, maybe 40 yards. And 3 catches.
If it's half point PPR, I think his floor is probably 8 points. But I again, like I was saying earlier, like I wouldn't get too sucked up in like, oh, I'm up by this amount of points. I'm going to play like I just play your best players in the best matchups and just live or die by that. Like, don't get too cute with it.
Yeah.
Either way, like whether you're projected to win by a lot or you're projected to lose by a lot, I wouldn't get tremendously cute with it. I think if you're projected to lose by a lot, you do have to be like, okay, who can get me 20 points or, something like that. But I've just seen so many times that you get out to a lead or you get out to a deficit and you think like, oh, there's no way I'm going to win, no way I'm going to lose. And then you just slowly, as Sunday goes along, you slowly start seeing it like inch back up to where it's almost even. So
yeah. So on that note, I was sitting on Thursday when the game started. I was hanging out with Gordon Hackman, who we gave a bunch of advice to last week. Partly the advice we gave him was to sit Crowder. So,
oh no.
Like the first couple of throws, he
dropped
that pass. I was
that
like, thank you, God. Because right while the game was starting, we were talking. He was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick with my guys. And he goes to put Crowder back, and he's like, oh, I can't. It's like, oh, my heart sank because like, dang it. I was like, I hope he doesn't have a good game, but he did.
Ouch. Yeah.
He's okay. So, and then Thomas H says, pick my flex. 1 point PPR, full point PPR. I guess that would be full PPR. Cup, Hunt, or Singletary. You know what? It maybe it's getting too cute, but I mean, he asked about why. I don't know if this is the same league. What do you think of stacking Goff and Cup? Like, I almost feel like if you're not going to play Cup, if you're not going to play Goff, why are you playing Cup?
No, I don't look at it that way. It would be between Cup or Hunt for me. I wouldn't really want to play Singletary. Pittsburgh's run defense has been.
They've only allowed 2 touchdowns from all season, I think, from rushing touchdowns. I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's been pretty shut down as far as rushing touchdowns, but they allow a lot of yards.
Well, and ironically, like Devin Singletary only has 2 rushing touchdowns. I guess he makes his more of his living just in
what full point PPR?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So the Steelers defense has allowed just 2 touchdowns to running backs over the past 8 games.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I don't feel great about Singletary. I think Hunt is the safest play. Because he's just basically getting you 10 to 15 points.
And mainly just on catches. Like he could get, and so anything he does with those catches is going to be cake.
Yeah. And Arizona's pass defense is not good. I think he's still going to be heavily involved in the passing game. Him and Jarvis Landry a lot. I would be sort of inclined to play Hunt because Cup, there's always the risk that he goes back to having one of those monster games that he had from early in the year. But over his last 5 games, his targets have gone 4, 3, 10, 6, 4. He's just not
who
Cup.
Yeah.
So he's not being used.
And who are they playing this week?
They're playing Dallas. And so that Dallas has a solid pass defense, but I think it's weaker against like slot receivers in a way. Like Cole Beasley came back and had a pretty solid game against them. But I think just the way that they're spreading the ball around, like basically the Rams offense has just changed over the last several weeks to where Gurley is going back to 20 carries a game. Robert Woods has gone back to being, a focal point, if not the focal point in the passing game. Him and Higbee. So Woods' targets over the last four games that he's played have been 11, 9, 18, and 9. Tyler Higbee, his have been 6, 8, 11 over the last 3 games. So it's just tough. It's just tough for me to trust what Cup. I think Cup. I think his ceiling is, just kind of basically about the same as Kareem Hunt's ceiling, and he doesn't have the same. He doesn't have the same floor.
He's got a huge ceiling. Like, he could have a huge game.
He could, yeah.
His floor is low though.
Yeah, his floor is 0 because he's had a 0.
He's had a couple of zeros, or a 0 and a 5 and a 8.
Yeah. So since he's not getting that kind of volume that he was when he was putting up these 22, 25 point games, I would have a hard time. I mean, I think Hunt's just the safe play. I mean, since he's been back 5 games, it's been 10.9, 8.8, 11.6, 15, 13.8. I think that would be my pick.
I agree. For safety, I'd go for Hunt, maybe even Singletary. But I do want to say, for those of you keeping track, this is a Judah hunch. I'm feeling something about Cup.
Oh, I hope so. I hope you're right, because
Cup and Goff, I think they're going to go bananas this week.
Really?
Something. I feel like they got the offensive line right, and they made a huge shift, and their offensive line actually looked good last week, and they went bananas.
But it was
all like what you were going to say. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, but it was mostly the other guys,
Yes, and actually, one of the ways they got the offensive line right was they took out Cup and Cook.
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, they took them out and put in tight ends to help shore up the line. So
yeah, Cooks is completely useless. I mean, he's getting 2 or 3 targets a game, and Goff just doesn't throw the ball downfield. I hope you're right, because I've got Cup starting in a 250 league. So
okay, here's the question. Here is the question for me: how healthy is Dallas's rush? Like, how healthy is their defensive line?
Well,
I think I heard that somebody was going to be out for them already.
Yeah. Well, and they're never like they've been better as the season's kind of gone along. So over the last 4 games, they've basically had, what have they had? 11 sacks over the last 4 games. But they don't, they just don't force a lot of interceptions, anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just remember hearing something or seeing something about what's his name? Who's the Snacks or something? Not Snacks. Somebody else on there. Let me take a look here if I can find it. 20 teams still want AB. Interesting. I thought I saw something in my Menchies. No, not my Menchies. My notifications. Well, I guess not. But I don't know. Something tells me like they've never been great. Like you said, they've never been great pass rushers. If Goff has plenty of time, they don't need to bring the tight ends in and take out their wide receivers. This may be a smash spot for Goff, but it could be like, my fear would be that it's the Rams just kill them, but they kill them with Gurley.
Yeah, that's. I think it could be a lot of Gurley. It could be a lot of Higbee. Dallas is not great against tight ends. Gerald Everett is out again, so Higbee, I think is a pretty good play again. It'll be interesting to see, because he's played the 2 worst pass defenses against tight ends in Arizona and Seattle. So Dallas is still not great against them, but they're not like that low on the rung. So so it will be interesting to see what he does against a less awful defense against tight ends.
Yeah.
On another note, I just got a little notification that just no real surprise here, but like Jordan Howard for the Eagles is out. Nelson Aguilar is also out, which is not a real surprise either. But
that I've been waiting for that.
Yeah,
it's not a surprise, but I would if he played, I was going to crush him in DFS.
Yeah, he's out. So I guess it's going to be Ward and
who else are they going to throw to?
I forgot their other. Arcega Whiteside.
Is he playing? I thought he was out too.
Let's see. Maybe he. I didn't see anything unless he had already been ruled out. No, he doesn't have a tag on.
He doesn't have a tag. All right. Well, might be some Arcega Whiteside time.
They just haven't done anything to make me feel like, what's a reason to start him. So I think it's going to be those running backs. Really the play, if you're looking one, maybe Boston Scott.
Well, they say Jordan is out. Well, he's not ruled out, but he was he couldn't have contact.
No, Howard is ruled out.
He's ruled out. Oh,
yeah, that was the notification I just got. Was Howard is out and Aguilar, and then also Derek Barnett, their defensive end. But
yeah, that's what you just said. Sorry, I got confused there.
A Jedi mind tricked you by leaving it in plain sight.
The thing you led, I got so focused. I was so interested. I've been waiting on the Nelson. I just like a dog, squirrel.
You saw a squirrel, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was interesting. So if you have Sanders, would you be putting a lot of Sanders in? Yeah, you have a little bit of Sanders.
I have Sanders in 2 or 3 leagues. Yeah, I'm playing him. I mean, you don't know for sure exactly. It worries me now after Boston Scott had a pretty good game Monday night. Yeah. But Washington's a bad run defense, and I think Sanders will still get most of the touches. So I played him. So I played Sanders over. So I have one league where I have Tyreek Hill, Julian Edelman, and Keenan Allen, who I wanted to play all 3 of those. So I'm going to play one of them in my flex. Okay. So that leaves me with 2 running back spots. And so my running backs are Carson, Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, and Miles Sanders. Didn't want to play Le'Veon against that Baltimore front. So I benched him, and I was glad. He had, I think, 9.8 points in half-point PPR. So now it comes down to Carson, who I'm definitely playing against Carolina, and then either Melvin Gordon or Miles Sanders. I'm going to go with Sanders in that one because the Vikings run defense has given up 5 touchdowns all season. I think it's going to be more of an Eckler game. So I'm going to go with Sanders over Gordon in that one.
Would you go Boston Scott? Who would you play Boston? Well, okay, we'll do a little bit of that. Let's get to the questions.
Yeah.
Ryan says the guy who I'm playing right now traded Lamar to me. I'm sure he regrets that one. I tried to trade Lamar away. I actually went in each one of my leagues.
Oh man.
And I tried to get Saquon and I tried to get Cook. And honestly, I am so glad nobody traded those guys to me. I would probably be dead. Like Cook had a decent game, Delvin Cook. But I'd probably be dead. I'm glad they didn't take that trade, and I think they probably regret not taking that trade, especially the Saquon.
Yeah, I in one of my leagues, I only have Lamar in 2. Unfortunately, I did try to trade for him in a bunch early in the season, but
trade for him,
yeah. But I had picked him up in 1, and then I was only able to trade for him in 1, and the guy who I traded Tyler Boyd to a guy for Lamar, and then like the last week of the season or so, I was playing that guy, and so I beat him, and then that knocked him out of playoff. He finished 5th. So painful for him. Yeah.
Okay, Math Quest. Thanks for coming in, man. Miss ya at the beginning of the show. Not anymore. You're probably here, I hope. All right. Should I start Josh Jacobs or Raheem Mostart? Standard scoring, I would smash some Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to do well.
I would wait to see if you've got the
Yeah.
luxury of waiting to see tomorrow what they say about Jacobs leading up to the game. I know everybody's schedules are different on Sunday, and some
Well, so
people
when
have
do these two particular? Do you know
what?
when do these two guys play?
They both play 4 o'clock games. It's
4 o'clock.
I don't
Okay,
know.
so you can wait.
So you can wait. You can wait
Yeah.
up until I don't know. One of them may be like 4 and one 4:25, but essentially they're both the late evening games. I would wait and see. If you forced me to pick one right now, I would pick Mostert, because the stuff that they're saying about Josh Jacobs is just too like oh, he may play, but we're not sure, and if he does, we're not sure how much he'll play. I would pick, if I had to choose one right now and lock in my lineup, I would pick Mostert, because Shanahan has talked about how he's the guy now. He's established himself as the guy. He's going to get the majority of the touches. They're against Atlanta. It's not as good of a matchup as Jacksonville, but the Josh Jacobs injury thing and not knowing how much he's going to be used just scares me.
I think Josh is going to be used against a great matchup. I don't trust coaches. His coach speak, they lie. I think it might be a big Breida game too. So I don't know. Mostart, hey, he's got mustard in his name. The Colonel Mustard. But I would go Josh Jacobs. But you'll be able to so what would your advice be? What would you be looking for tomorrow morning, tomorrow early afternoon that would make you feel like I'm playing Josh Jacobs?
I would wait to see what comes out in terms of Ian Rappaport, or guys like Ian Rappaport saying something to the effect of Jacobs is expected to get his regular load, something like that. For me, if there's some iffiness on it or indecision, I would go Mostert. Unfortunately, I just don't have, in the leagues where I have Jacobs, I don't really have a great option to replace him with. So.
Okay, there you have it, Math Quest. All right, let's see. What were we talking about earlier? We wanted to come back to. Trying to think. So matchups this week. Are there any ones that, just thinking through the games?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the Eagles and Eagles. So the Eagles are playing. Who are they playing?
The Redskins.
The Redskins. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, that was my question. Would you play Boston Scott? Oh, who would you play Boston? What is your level on him? Would you play him in your flex? I don't think anybody's going to start him, but in your flex, well, I guess I'm still starting him. Would you play him over Amendola?
Yes.
You would play him over Amendola.
Yes. Because I don't know what Amendola is going to do. He's had some good games with Stafford, and maybe he did with Driscoll too. But with Blau, Blau wasn't really utilizing him that much. And I don't know that Marvin Jones being out will really affect it that much. I don't know if he's still just going to throw the ball downfield to different receivers.
But I guess he didn't. Yeah, he didn't throw much to his slot guys.
No. So I would play him over Amendola as a flex. I just don't know, even though for me, I don't know if I have anywhere that I can really play Boston Scott, because I guess the only guy that I would have that I would consider playing him over out of all my teams would be, I'm going to use in my flex in a couple of places, Patrick Laird, the Dolphins running back.
So you would play him over Patrick Laird?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the only place I would probably even consider it. But even there, I don't think I could, because Laird is at least the guy. He's also up against a bad run defense. And with Boston Scott, what is he going to get? 40% of the touches? I don't know. So I'm not sure that I personally really have anywhere that I can trust him, but there are matchups, depending on what you have, that, I would consider playing him.
Okay. Would you? Yeah, you'd play him over Breida, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you play him over Freeman, Devontae Freeman?
That's a tough one.
I think a lot of people have Devontae in their flex right now,
I
trying to
don't,
decide
not
whether or not
me,
to play him.
not me. I'm not putting him in there.
Oh, you just got him on the bench.
I just got him on the bench. Yeah.
Ooh.
San Francisco had a little string of 2 or 3 weeks where they were not good against the run. They seem to have kind of cleaned that up a little bit. The Falcons are not the best running team. If Devonta is going to get points, it's going to be from little, dump offs. But I'm just looking back through, Devonta really hasn't. I mean, he had been hurt for a couple of weeks, but I mean, he really, he had he had 17.4 points against Carolina, the worst run defense. He had 84 yards, which was his third highest total of the season. Man, I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. There are 6 guys ruled out already for the 49ers. 6.
What? I know they lost a couple of
Richard Sherman, D. Ford. Where does Jaquiski Tart? Where does he play? And DJ Jones, Julian Taylor. I mean, Kwan Williams. Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take I'm curious to see where they are.
They don't list the positions with them being ruled out.
Not. I mean, I'm just looking at Pro Football Doc.
Yeah, that's a lot of guys. I knew the secondary was going to be an issue. Yeah. Half of 49ers starting defense ruled out for Falcons game. So yeah, D Ford's a defensive end, DJ Jones, defensive tackle, Julian Taylor, defensive tackle, and then the other 3 guys are in the secondary: Sherman, Kwan Williams, and Tart.
I don't know, man. They might have gotten it right for last week, but
that's true. Yeah, that might make me reconsider a little bit. So in that case, no, I would not. I think then you do have to roll with Devonta Freeman.
You would go with Devonta Freeman instead.
Over Boston Scott. Yeah. I'll have to see.
Would you go Freeman over like Higbee or Slayton? I guess you still have to process the idea that the defensive line is so banged up.
Yeah, that's tougher.
I'm looking at DFS. I'm looking at my leagues, mostly DFS, and I'm just thinking, man, I want to take a lot of this game. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think there's going to be a lot of points. I'm not saying 49ers are going to lose, but I don't think they're going to crush the Falcons.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The Falcons, though, part of the thing with the Falcons, too, is just like, regardless of opponent, you don't know which Falcons team is going to show up.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the other thing is like, they're just so Jekyll and Hyde for no like obvious reason. So
is this where are they playing?
They're playing in San Francisco.
Oh, that does tilt the scale a bit.
Yeah, that doesn't make me feel any better about it for sure.
No. Although it is indoor, right? It is indoor.
No, they got an outdoor stadium.
And I feel worse.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it'll be a very interesting game because with half their defense out, that does make it a lot more interesting. And we've gotten back now to 2017 Julio Jones. I don't know if you've been paying attention.
He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 3.
Correct. Yeah. I only drafted him in, I don't know, a league or 2, and I ended up trading him away. So
you see why I hate him, right?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I've been trying to convince AJ Herschel forever that this guy is just like, he's good. He's a skilled guy, but he's like, you talk about your do not draft list. He is at the top of my do not draft
Well,
list.
he basically is for mine too. It's not that I wouldn't draft him at any position though. Like
Yeah.
there are some guys like Evan Ingram now. I'm to the point where like, I won't pick him up as
He's
an
dead. He's on your.
undrafted free agent. Yeah. And James Conner, like I don't know
Is he gonna play this week?
It's kind of like the Josh Jacobs situation. Like he's going to be back. Well, he is at least going to be back, I think.
He is, but he's still questionable.
But he's questionable. So that's not guaranteed. And even if it does, they don't know how much he'll play. So it is similar to the Jacobs thing. And just a note on Devontae Parker. I just got to update that he is traveling with the team. And it's looking like he'll play. So, yeah, Julio, he's a guy that I would take, in like but not where you have to take him to get him, like as a early second round pick or a second round pick somewhere. Yeah, man, just I don't know what it is with him. Why the touchdowns just disappear? But
yeah. Well, speaking of the Steelers. Ryan has last question. Let's talk a little defense for the playoffs. Do you start the Bills D versus the Steelers over the Chiefs? Or so those two. I really like the Chiefs D. I think they're coming on. What do you think?
Yeah, I would feel probably differently if the game was in Buffalo. I would probably start Buffalo if the game was in Buffalo, but I don't think they'll play poorly. The Steelers are limited by quarterback play, so they're not going to put up a ton of points. But Buffalo is not like Buffalo's defense is a lot like Josh Allen. Like you've got like a consistent floor with them,
not a huge, like a medium floor,
right? But they're capped out. They're capped out at like so many games where they've scored 10 points, 11 points, 11 points, 11 points, 10 points. Yeah. They've had one game where they've scored more than 11 points, and that was against Denver, and they scored 13. Which now, granted, if a defense gets you in double digits, like that's pretty good.
The Steelers have a really good offensive line, haven't allowed a lot of sacks.
Yeah. And the Steelers are, they're playing smart football. They're not putting, Hodges in a position to really hurt them a lot. And that's why they went to him, Mike Tomlin said, we need a guy who won't kill us, just like such an indictment of Mason Rudolph. And so
smug little suburban.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I would be inclined to go with the Chiefs because, I think the Chiefs at home against Drew Lock do have a high upside there.
I think Drew Lock I think he may fall apart a little bit on this game.
They could, but
he's been solid, but I think the rookie's due for a little slip up.
It feels like it, and it's funny because, they just destroyed Houston. Yeah. So it's not the best.
Which is a similar defense to the Chiefs too.
Yeah. I would say Buffalo is the safer play. The Chiefs have more upside. Yeah. So if you feel like you're chasing points and you need a defense that could score you.
Well, he's not. He's up 30. Remember?
Oh well, yeah. I couldn't remember which.
Okay,
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, in that case, maybe Buffalo's a little bit. Well, no, I was going to say maybe it's a little bit.
Oh yeah, hold the line.
Safer, yeah. But it's really like because with Drew Lock and that Broncos offense, like, well, what if they come out and do the same thing against
Well, it's a double-edged sword, and we're talking about two different coaches here. Same type of defense, but two different coaches, and one is head and shoulders above the other. So Andy Reid, I think it's a two-edged sword in the sense that like they just saw how the similar defense got beat. They can sort of game plan accordingly. Um, I don't know if they have the personnel to do that because they lack a little bit of the secondary. They have a little bit. They lack the skill in the secondary. That's the problem. They have great pass rush.
Well, and is Frank Clark playing?
Mm.
Let's see if he is in or out.
I haven't seen.
Okay, Frank Clark practices and is, quote, heading in the right direction.
Sounds good.
So that's a better sign for that Chiefs defense. I feel like Buffalo's the safer one, but Chiefs give you more upside. If Lamar's balling out for you, maybe it'd be better to go with Buffalo.
I agree, and I would love to see you smash your opponent with even more points. Get a 20 burger from the Chiefs as well as a 30 burger from
Lamar.
35 burger, 37 burger, right? That was it.
37, and 4-point touchdowns.
That was a big burger.
Yeah. I was ready for him to stop scoring.
I know you were like, okay, that's good. I need it right here. But man, I'm playing against Wilson. I was like, one more. I mean, the way, just beautiful watching him, man.
It is, yeah.
Like, he is, he keeps getting compared to Vic, but Vic, he was just a running back who was playing a quarterback. He didn't throw very well.
He did not. He didn't.
No. Whereas I think Lamar is part of this new breed that, like, man, he's got that little Mahomes, like, like it's that new breed of throwing that I like.
I saw somebody say, that like when you watch his ball, like especially some of those little sidearm throws, the way it's spinning, it looks like it's on a line or something, or on a wire. It looks like it's on a wire being spun towards something because it's so, tight and precise. And Vic, like, living in Georgia, I watched him, and Vic could not throw. The toughest pass for Michael Vick was like a 6-yard dump off to a tight end or a receiver or a running back. He had no touch on it. It was just kind of like I mean, it was like it to them. It was like the same. He was throwing that with the same strength as he was a deep route or something. I mean, it was just like bouncing off guys' hands because he couldn't just like adjust and put touch on it. So and maybe that's why I continue to like call him Mahomes, but there's something similar that I love watching between Mahomes and a little bit with Watson too, is the variance in the throws. So you have the long bomb, but it's not like just a long bomb or like a short area dump off and a shovel. It's like all these little things, like this little, like you're saying, this little like line on a wire over here, but it always looks pretty. His running, man. Oh, I went back and watched that one where it was like a 45, I can't remember, yard touchdown run where he just like spins off a guy, and it's almost like his toes look pointy to me. Like he looks like he's jabbing out with his feet, It's just, I don't know, something cool. Ryan says, my kicker and defense have been putting up serious points lately. Buckner's a boss. You talked about how Buckner's been one of the more consistent, big point scorers. He has, the Chiefs haven't been. And I'm playing Mahomes in a couple of leagues this week, so fear that this will just be the week that he bounces back. But I think they said Mahomes only has one touchdown pass for like 3 games in a row. So my fear is he's going to bounce back this week. But that's been, sort of good for Butker. Let's just see here. Yeah. So 3 games in a row, Mahomes has only had one touchdown pass, and so I guess 5, 6 out of the last 8, he's had one or fewer. So the 2 games he had big numbers against Tennessee and Houston, but so they haven't punched the ball into the end zone as much, so that's created some more opportunities for Butker, who's been, last 4 games, 18, 16, 7, 10, 13. So it could be another good game for him. I mean, the Broncos pass defense has been pretty solid.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind that. I was disappointed. I played Justin Tucker in 2 leagues, and so that was a 4-point letdown.
Yeah, I had the same thing. Like I guess if I had thought about it, he hasn't been good this year.
Right. They just get in the end zone too much. Yeah. That offense gets rolling, and a defense just can't stop them. And so it was either they weren't getting into field goal range at all, or if they were making it all the way into the end zone. And then it made it worse by the fact that I still started him. And I mean, he was the number 1 ranked kicker for Yahoo's projections and probably ESPN's. I don't remember. But I thought, okay, he'll get like 1 field goal and 5 extra points, and that's 8, that'll be solid. But then he didn't get any field goals, and then he missed an extra point. Yeah. And so then on the next touchdown, then they went for the 2-point conversion. So that cost 2 points. So that hurts. That's in 2 leagues where I've got an opponent that's projected to score a lot of points. So that hurts me. But yeah.
Yeah, that's in one of my leagues with Mahomes. That was a bad pairing. I should have thought about like how bad that pairing is. But that's a bad stack. But
Lamar.
Huh?
Lamar.
I have Lamar, but it's weird because I keep looking at what I'm projected. I'm like, how come I just got 37 points? How come I'm not projected to be crushing this guy? And then I like look further down, like, Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's in the league I'm with AJ. So.
Or is he in your playoffs in that one?
I don't know. No, I don't think he is.
Okay.
I think he barely missed. He had this guy named Henry. Henry didn't do that great. He did okay.
Yeah, that's the reason that he was that close.
I guess. Well, I had a couple more questions. Unless you have any start-sit questions. We don't have any anything in the chat.
No. Let's see. I think one of my dilemmas this week is AJ Brown. He was sort of the popular ad for this week. I mean, he's been kind of boom or bust.
Hey, wait, just real quick, Ryan. Yeah. Ryan's got to go. See you later, buddy. Do great this week.
Yeah, good luck.
We're rooting for you. So AJ Brown, who are you thinking about starting him over?
Well, I've got some. Let's see with him. It's let's see here. Who are my choices here? A lot of places it's basically going to be like him or Slayton. Him or Slayton. There's another one where let's see what my options are here. Yeah, it's basically him or Slayton, I guess. And it's kind of tough because Brown is the unquestioned top target there in Tennessee, but they're such a running team,
Well, now one thing that might help you is that Henry is not necessarily going to play.
Well, they think he's going to play. They've said he's going to play, but he could be limited.
Well, let me see. What the last thing I read,
he didn't practice, but they've said he's going to play.
But this is what Pro Football Doc says. He says the Tennessee running back did not practice at all this week and is considered questionable for Sunday. So then he gets in more to his analysis. He says he's dealing with a hamstring issue, and due to his position, it would be iffy at best for him to play against Houston. Although the running back said he would be fine just yesterday. This was like 2 days ago. I don't know how effective he'll be.
Yeah.
Since he didn't practice at all this week, he may not be 100% even if he does play.
But it's for like he's going to play unless it's just so severe. I mean, maybe it's worth stashing. Maybe it's worth stashing Dion Lewis, but like this is for, this may decide the division between Houston and Tennessee. So if Derrick Henry can at all play, he's going to play because the game is just that big. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, it could, get him to throw a little bit more. Houston's pass defense has been better since a couple of guys came back. Bradley Roby.
Until last week.
But even then, Cortland Sutton, the Broncos top didn't really do anything, and so Bradley Roby had, I think kind of made a little bit of a difference there. So you can throw on them still, but you're not throwing as much to your number one option. So, like with again last week, Sutton, even though the Broncos put up tons of points, I mean, Sutton had 5 catches for 34 yards in a game where Denver scored 38 points. And then, the previous week where they played the Patriots, Edelman ended up with some garbage points on that one where they just kind of stopped playing defense on that last drive or two, and he got a touchdown. But I don't know.
I think it comes down to how much do you trust Tannehill?
Now I trust Tannehill enough, but it's just
then play Brown.
But it's not the same though. It's not the same because Tannehill gets his points in. It's not like a Drew Brees throwing to Michael Thomas. So I mean, Tannehill's not throwing the ball all that much in a lot of games. Like, so the last 4 games, it's been it's crazy like how many points Tannehill's gotten off such limited attempts because he can, run the ball and do other things with it. But so his last 4 games, he had 19 attempts, 18 attempts, 22 attempts, and then this past week he had 27 attempts at Oakland, which is a terrible. But
does Brown play any intermediate routes? Is he only a big play guy?
Well, part of the way he's getting his big plays is not necessarily like from, just catching bombs, but like from breaking tackles.
Yard after catch.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's just a tough spot. So that's one of my dilemmas this week.
I think you got to smash Brown. Unless because the Houston defense is stronger. They have a really good defensive. I'm curious to see what the health of their defense is. If we look at their defense, how did you find the health of the defense for the?
I just typed in 49ers out into Google, and that brought up.
Let me see, Houston Texans defense, because I think that could really make a difference. There's nothing really popping up. Because if their defensive line is healthy, even if their secondary is healthy, even with a healthy secondary, they've never had a really good secondary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a lot of situations where if Brown's your best option, I don't feel bad about playing him. It's just like him versus somebody like Slayton.
Slayton, he's getting passes from
Eli
Manning.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't put Tannehill that much higher than Eli. Is why it doesn't. I guess that doesn't really persuade me that much.
Yeah. Um, I would put him. I would definitely put him well above Eli, but um,
But he gets his points through running, you were saying. A lot of it is
yeah,
through running.
yeah. I've also got three guys. Three guys are playing AJ Brown against me. So if he if he goes
Ah,
off, I'm going to be in trouble.
so you're hoping he doesn't go off.
I'm hoping he doesn't go off. Yeah.
Dang it. Yeah. I'm see, I have not Fitz. I have Tannehill
Mm,
in this where I'm trying to beat this Mahomes trying to beat Lamar Jackson and I don't know, man. I'm worried that this is a big letdown spot for Tannehill. But it
yeah.
is nice to think about like that he can get some traction with his legs, but against that defensive line, he may not be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and you wonder, defenses have to account for Derrick Henry so much. Like if Henry is limited and not playing that well, and they can, you know, sort of back off a little bit and defend the pass a little bit better, it really does feel like a potential letdown spot for Tannehill. Like he's done so well and
Yeah.
played his way into so many starting lineups in Week 15. I'm not saying he's going to. I think he's still going to score, but man, it just feels like it just
Mm.
feels like a trap.
Yep. It does feel like a trap. Are they playing at home? They are playing
They
at
are
home.
playing at home, yeah. So
Would you play Tannehill? So if you do, if you thought like maybe I shouldn't take a chance on Tannehill in this important game for me, would you play Mayfield over him?
I would really have to debate that. I'm playing both of them in a couple leagues each. I don't think I have one where I have both of them in the same league. That would be a really interesting dilemma because Tannehill has the better resume lately, but Baker against that Arizona pass. I mean, I just feel like he's got to do well. I just feel like he's got to throw you 22 points or something on the board, you know?
So if you go down Narrative Street, Mayfield is playing the coach that snubbed him, or he
Well, it
doesn't.
was, well, no, it's,
He left that coach with
yeah,
and on
yeah,
bad terms, from what I can gather.
right.
Um,
Al-
so
Although that would actually, like, that doesn't inspire any more confidence in Baker for me. That actually inspires less
yeah.
because that makes me think like, oh, well, he might, try too hard to show out. And
What is the name of the coach out there in Arizona?
Kingsbury, Cliff
Kingsbury.
Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Well,
And
and
it
it's
it goes both
interesting.
ways too, right?
Well,
Good.
and it's also, not only is he playing Kingsbury, but he's playing against the guy who followed him
Took
at
his place.
Oklahoma, Kyler Murray. Yeah, um, so that's kind of not that I think there's any real. I don't know. I don't know of any real rivalry being there between them, but he might be. He might want to show like, oh, I was the better Oklahoma quarterback.
Okay, so yeah, no, yeah, you're talking me off of me because Kingsbury could be feeling the same thing, and I trust Kingsbury as a coach more than I trust Mayfield. Trying to bomb it
I
out,
don't know if I trust either one of them, but
because Kingsbury might be like, okay, yeah, you think you're better? You think you made a better decision? My guy, the guy I chose over you, is better. I'll show
yeah.
you. I'll show you.
Yeah, actually, in one of those leagues, I have Baker and Kyler, and so
Ooh,
I have to pick between
I'm
those
feeling
two.
Kyler. Can I pick up Kyler? No, I can't. Dang it. Hey, I got Haskins.
Yeah, roll with that.
Not unless it's DFS. Trubisky
I don't trust him against the Packers on the road.
on the road. Yeah,
I mean, if I had to play him, I could. And it was a deeper league. I could throw him in and cross my fingers, but
Here's one I've got. I could pick up Brady. Uh, I know Brady hasn't been great. I know he's got a he doesn't have a very high ceiling. He's got
not
a
for
low
me.
floor.
Not
But
no
but
Brady
what
for
if
me.
what if but what think about this? What if all this like doesn't this just sound like the Patriots? Haven't they done this in the past where there's like all this like controversy and like cheating stuff, and then so the next thing they just come out and just crush the person?
they
Just crush them.
they have before. Cincinnati's pass defense is not particularly that bad, even as bad as Cincinnati is. The Patriots offense
They're just not that good.
has not looked good. Brady typically this time of year declines over the last few years, like just down the stretch. He's just not that great of a quarterback. So they could crush Cincinnati, but I don't think it's necessarily not with Brady. Yeah. I could see like the running game just destroying them or something, or they score 2 defensive touchdowns or something.
Well, the last one, Fitzpatrick. I could pick up Fitzpatrick.
What are we still talking as an option, as a different option to oh yeah, no. I wouldn't overthink it on Tannehill. Like I'm throwing out just, ideas, but I've
been scared about Tannehill though, man.
Yeah, I think he's got a safe enough floor. I don't know that he's going to ball out in this game, but I in the 2 leagues where I have him, I'm starting him. I would be scared of starting him across, the board as my main option in most of my leagues or something, the way you've got Lamar or something. But I'm starting him where I got him.
What's his ceiling though? What's his ceiling?
I mean, his ceiling's 30 points. He's had a couple of really good games. So against, let's see where they came here. So against Carolina on November 3rd, he had 25. Against Jacksonville on the 24th, he had 32.36. And then against Oakland last week, he had 28.54. So he's got a great ceiling, and his floor really was 13.
18? Oh, 13. Yeah,
13 against Indy.
Indy just slows the game down.
They do. So
I don't think that that Houston's going to slow it down. I think it's going to be a fast-paced game.
Probably. So yeah, no, I again, I'm kind of half-heartedly saying that about Tannehill, about feeling like nervous that this is going to be a trap game with him. But the leagues where I got him, I'm rolling him out. I think he's played well enough that you just have to put him in there and say, okay, if he kills me somehow, then I'll just live with that.
All right. I don't know. I think I'm going to go to somebody else.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I'll have to.
I kind of, you know what it is I kind of already feel dead in that league.
Oh, really? Is that one where you're playing Lamar?
I'm playing, Lamar.
No, so. that would be all the more reason to me to play Tannehill is to cross your fingers and hope he gives you a 30-point game.
But I'd rather do that with, like, this is also the league where, like, this person that's beating me just paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they wouldn't have paid if they hadn't got in the playoffs. I don't know. We'll see.
But what does that have to do with
what?
With like picking somebody over Tannehill?
Like, I want to show that I'm smarter than them.
Oh, but the way you show you're smarter than them is
I know
you beat them.
That's not how Judah does it. Judah just shows he's not smart. Okay. Except when he calls the Lamar thing. I think I was on top of that, but not enough. Not enough in my $100 league. I'm out, and really, really wish I had stuck to my guns on that one.
Yeah, and I remember Andy Behrens of Yahoo saying at the beginning of the season, like, that Lamar Jackson could be QB1, and he said, I don't mean a QB1, I mean the QB1. And I thought, nah. So I didn't have the faith in Lamar that I should have. So yeah, if I'd have had him in my leagues, oh man.
Who was it? It was the CBS analysis. Oh, come on. Who's the guy who played Luther in Superman versus Batman?
Oh,
Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Jamie Eisenberg, who's actually cousins with that guy.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. Jamie Eisenberg from CBS Sports. He's one of my most respected analysts. Like, when he says something, I listen. He said he looked in. Well, he wasn't looking in the camera, but I could picture him looking in the camera. It was in a podcast. He said, "Lamar Jackson is going to break the system.
Hmm.
He's going to break fantasy this season." And I was like, "Okay, I'm sold."
I actually saw I can't remember who it was there. Oh, was that actually Matthew? Is your guy Matthew Berry? Um, he put out his like way too early top 50 rankings for next season, draft rankings, and he put Lamar at like 11 or 12. So
I think that's a. I don't know. I think that's kind of a mistake. It's like the thing I've learned over my years of fantasy football is like if somebody does really good one year,
yeah, they adjust. People adjust to them.
they
Um,
they come down towards the mean.
they do.
I won't
Yeah,
mention the word everybody hates on this podcast, but that.
yeah. No, I think you're right. I'll definitely look more at the mobile quarterbacks next year.
Yeah. Ah,
And maybe a who I may try to go for a lot next year is Josh Allen. Josh Allen
yeah.
because he's not as mobile as some of these other guys, but if they put some more weapons around him and he's had another year to
If
progress.
if I hear that he's been working on his passing, if I
Mhm.
hear like, oh, Josh Allen's been every day
Well,
working on his passing.
I hope he's working as an NFL quarterback. I hope he's working on his
No, but
passing.
I mean like he's kind of a dumb guy, man. I look into his, when we talk about the psychology of fantasy football, I'm looking at,
Mhm.
I don't see a real like.
A thinking man's quarterback.
Well, it's not like Lamar is hugely like he's no Einstein, but it's almost this like intentional dumbness, that I hate. It's like this hick type
Oh,
like I'm better than you type thing that I look at it in Josh Allen and it's like I'm
mm,
a big Josh Allen fan, but a couple of times I've seen him, I followed him,
mm.
like my heart sunk a little bit. I'm like, this is not
Follow him on
good.
social media or
No, like when I'm
on.
like watching him specifically in games, like I go and look at the tape, or I like to go to the YouTube videos where they're mic'd up
Mhm.
and just kind of get a sense of what kind of person they are. And I don't know. I've waned in my fandom, I'll say.
Mm, mm.
Whereas who I kind of like uh, for next year in a similar vein is, and we can talk more about this in another episode. We're going to talk a lot about this because we're not
We'll
going
have
to
a
have much
whole
else.
off season.
Yeah. But my way too early, like crush is actually the Arizona guy. What's his name?
Kyler.
Kyler.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Kyler too because it's kind of that spot where we've seen these guys blow up. Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. It's their second year. The second year for mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Of course, Kyler too is just his size. I'm afraid that he's going to be like sort of inconsistent the way Russell Wilson is with his
Yeah,
size.
yeah, that could be.
But I think you have the kind of the right mindset there with, that's where we're seeing these guys come, is the second year. Wentz several years ago was the same thing. So it's really that jump from rookie to second year, where they really can turn into a fantasy stud.
Yeah, and that could be. I want to keep my eye on Locke too, or Lockett. What's his name?
Drew
Drew
Lock.
Lock. Drew Lock. I want to keep my eye on him too because the reports that I've heard is that he has a certain courage, and like stick to itness, toughness that people are really admiring. That seems to be bearing out in fruit. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And then
yeah,
we'll have to see who, like, rookie quarterbacks. Kyler was, drafted pretty high as a rookie quarterback this year, and I don't trust rookie quarterbacks in the NFL that much. But next year, if we get Tua or some of these guys, it'll be interesting to see what they do. To,
who? Here's another sort of factor. What rookie quarterback has sat under somebody all year this year? Maybe that's like Locke.
yeah, I guess it would be
Not that he had a great tutor, their mentor, but
Right. Let's see who else did
somebody
go.
who like had some good pedigree and sat under some like, and that we're just forgetting because he didn't have any play.
Hmm.
That would be
Uh,
somebody to think about.
right. So let's see. Let me look through here real quick. Okay. Oh, no, no, no. I'm overlooking the other guy that I was thinking of is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
For
That
the
may
Giants,
be
because
that. Yeah.
he's a mobile guy. I had to actually look at the draft. Like now that he's been hurt, it's like, oh, now we're back to
Out of
Eli.
sight, out of mind.
Out of
Yeah.
sight, out of mind. No, I think Daniel Jones might
Yeah.
actually be my guy over Kyler even next season because Jones is mobile,
Yeah.
big guy.
He's like a rich, to me, in my feelings, he's a rich man's Josh Allen.
Yeah, I can see that.
Doesn't seem like it, but like he has a little bit more. I'm looking for some what do you call that? It's like humility, but it's awareness, you know?
Yeah.
The Josh Allen just like out there, we're gonna get him. Let's go. Let's go. Chad stuff, you know? Like
Right. Right. Yeah, I think like going through the list of other rookie quarterbacks this year, there's just hardly anyone. I mean, there's guys that have sat. The Carolina Panthers drafted Will Greer. The Patriots drafted Jarrett Stidham. None of those are really like super enticing quarterbacks. So I'm not sure if there's anybody else that's really going to come out. But Daniel Jones next year. You think about the weapons that he could have. If Darius Slayton's in his second year, Sterling Shepard if he's healthy, Tate, Ingram if he plays 4 games, Saquon Barkley. So yeah, I think Daniel Jones will be a guy that I try to get some stock.
That's smart.
Next year.
That's smart. Especially if everybody's healthy, and if I want to see what they do in the offseason for the offensive line. They really need to, put a little bit more work into the offense. Get a little bit trade. Maybe they need to trade somebody like Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
Although he does play a key role in that offensive line because he's a decent blocker, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But and that may be why he doesn't do well when I don't know. Something to look at. But we got to go.
Yep.
And all right. Well, I'll be talking to you tomorrow. I'm going to be specifically watching to see how Devontae
Parker does
tomorrow.
Oh, I'll be telling you about it.
I know you will be.
If he's doing well. If he's doing well.
Well, if he isn't.
If he isn't, I will pretend I do not. I will claim to not know him.
And then the other thing I'm going to be considering from now to then and watching is how does Tannehill do? This is a big moment for him. So he already got the contract, right? So
No. They've been talking about it. As far as I know, nothing's been signed. But yeah, they've been talking about just giving him a big deal, based on his play. So
it's a big game.
Yeah, it's a huge game. If he wins that, then that's I think he's going to make some money for himself in addition to putting Tennessee in position to win that division. So
don't you wish you as men, how do we like with our jobs, how can is there a way that we can take our own destiny in our hands like that? Like if I have a good day at work today, I will make millions.
I don't think it works quite the same. Maybe if you're in the stock market or something, but yeah, it doesn't unfortunately work quite the same in most people's jobs. But yeah, so you'll be watching Tannehill. I'm going to be watching the Josh Jacobs situation. That's my it's my big question mark for tomorrow.
Take it as Judah Buddha madness, but I think Josh is going to have a huge game. Huge. I wouldn't want to sit him. Here's the thing is I think if Josh plays, he's going to have a huge game. I think if he sits, I don't really trust Washington to have a huge game.
Well, whoever plays, I'm going to have to play them probably in most leagues because I've got both of them. I picked up Washington back last week when they said that this could be a multi-week injury for Jacobs. So
Well, who do you have in our league?
Like just as my running backs in general,
No,
or
which one of those guys?
oh, I don't have. Well, I think maybe I have Washington in there. Yes, I do have Washington actually, and so I have more. I have Jacobs in like 5 leagues, but and I have Washington in pretty much all those same ones that I have Jacobs plus like an additional 2 or 3. Um, and so really, it would probably be better for me if like Jacobs sat and Washington played. I think one of my opponents has Jacobs too, so um, I am fine with him sitting, but I don't know that that's gonna happen.
Well, okay. Final thing, real quick. Do you think we're gonna play each other in the championship?
I think you're gonna make it for sure, uh,
Ah, yeah, probably.
because you've got a pretty good. I've got
Unless
like
he pulls a freaking Jared on me.
yeah, that's true. You can't ever count it out. With me, I mean, I like my matchups. Look,
I think you're gonna win that
I'm
game.
I'm projected to win by 10. So hey, if I lose, look, I got myself to the point where I'm in the semis and I'm projected to win by 10. If I lose
Can't
that,
do much better than
you,
that.
you can't do much better than that. I like my matchups. Kicker and defense. I've got Butker in New England. I've got I've got Fitzmagic. That's a little
It's a little
risky.
dicey.
That's a little dicey. I had Stafford. I was going to play Stafford,
Yeah.
and that didn't work out. But look, Hopkins, Galladay is matched up against Tampa. McCaffrey, Mostert, Austin Hooper. I'm feeling better about him now that all these 49ers are out. And
I
then
yeah. I think you're gonna do fine. I think you're gonna do fine. The only thing is not you in this matchup. It's actually the other guy. Is if Mahomes blows
yeah,
up. If Mahomes,
right,
because he has Mahomes and Tyreek. So like
yeah,
if they have a blow up game, that's the only
that
thing.
could sink me. Yeah, so. Yeah, so I feel pretty good about it. If I lose it, I think I've done as much as I can. It's just you just gotta let your players play now. So
Watch us come back next week and like Judah lost, Jared won.
I don't think
The
that's gonna happen.
curse. The
I mean,
curse.
with yours especially too. If we look at yours,
I mean,
let's see.
the problem is it's a weird week because so many injuries, and so many weird
Hmm.
people are at quarterback. So
Okay,
like, is Galladay gonna go off? I have no idea. Is
yeah.
Blau gonna be able to hold? Is
Now that you mention it, like,
Oh,
okay,
I don't know if I have Galladay in that league.
no, you don't have Galladay. You've got Godwin and Gallup,
Yeah, see
and
Godwin. That's kind of the same thing. Like, is Godwin just gonna have a 0 this week? Maybe.
well, the benefit at least there for you would be like he's got Winston as quarterback, and so if Winston isn't throwing passes to Gall. I mean, I guess theoretically he could throw them to like Perryman and
Yeah.
Watson and the tight ends, but
I'm worried
I
about his thumb though. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not a slam dunk. I'll just say that.
It's not a slam dunk. I mean, you've got guys that could duck out on you.
Hmm.
It's not.
Chubb is like
Mm-hmm.
he could blow up or he could have 6 points. I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
not. Yeah. After I looked at it, okay, it's not a slam dunk.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but I think your odds are better than mine. But I think there are pretty good chances that we just end up playing each other. So
Yeah, that'd
that'd
be
be
fun.
fun.
All right, brother. Well, have a great day, and I will talk to you on the
On the internets.
internets.
All right.
All right. Bye.
See ya.